Hello there, it's me, Ghost Critic, with a little something different. I'm entering a contest set by one of our fellow YouTuber comic book community members, and that's Mr. James Donnelly. If you haven't already seen the video, I'll put a link down below, and I'll also put a link to what I'm about to review. And this is a bit of a strange review because this comic book doesn't actually exist, and you know what, it's such a shame. What James has done, he has created, with the help of a friend of his, an Elseworld Batman story. It's been something like, I think he said 5 years in creating this, and he's just put the finished product. He says it's in a rough state, but man, my goodness, if that's rough, whew. But he has the whole script on his Tumblr page. Again, I'll leave a link down below. As he said, he kind of promotes this as an Elseworld style Batman piece of fanfic. I think he's seriously underselling the fanfic part of this. Now, I don't honestly read that much fanfic, but if this is the kind of standard that fanfic is at the moment, then my God, why aren't more of us amateurs writing comic books? He also said this could make a 3-issue miniseries. Again, seriously underselling this. I'd go twice as many issues, if not a 12-issue maxi series that would, you know, take the whole year. The great thing about this storyline is clearly James is a huge Batman fan. I'm guessing, I mean, the amount of characterization that is in this story is just spot on. It really is. And I mean, he adds, even though this is an Elseworld tale, he takes references from A Death in the Family, The Killing Joke, and also Son of the Demon. Fortunately, I don't have that. And it's, how do I sum this up in like one of those blurbs you find in the back of a trade? Really, it's kind of like a no holds barred, brutal, bloody tale wrapped in a mystery story, with an added bonus of cloning. I'll get back to that bit later, but I'm not going to go all the way through the story because basically you need to read this, and I don't want to spoil the majority of it for you. But I'll just kind of go over maybe the first few bits of it. What we have is the story starting in Gotham in 1988. Batman and Robin, and the Robin that we have at the moment is Jason Todd. They're pursuing this hooded mystery villain. And he makes short work of them. This happens so early on in it that I don't really see this as a huge spoiler, given that it's Jason Todd as well. This mysterious villain, kills Jason Todd and seriously puts Batman on the ropes. And from then on, for the next 10 years, we get snippets throughout Batman's life and how he's coping and how the people around him are coping. So you get a kind of slew of recognisable characters like the Joker, Alfred, Dick Grayson, Commissioner Gordon, and Barbara Gordon as well. This is her as the Oracle. The Killing Joke has already happened within this story context. Of those kind of brief interludes for the past 10 years, to be fair, I think the only one that didn't really work for me was him meeting up with Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. It seemed a little bit forced. I could see what James was trying to say and show there in that kind of interlude of Batman and Commissioner Gordon coming together. It just seemed a little forced and could have been integrated. I don't know. It just, of all their kind of Batman's meeting up with all these characters, that one kind of stuck with me in the sense that it felt like he had to put Commissioner Gordon in there, and this was kind of the only way he could do it, which was, I don't know, for me, but that's just me. Again, you could tweak that, I don't know. So when the 10 years is up, we have a new Robin. It's Tim Drake. And the quirkiness of Tim Drake, the kind of cheekiness, the humour that you've always had with Tim is there. And of course the kind of 10-year anniversary comes up, and this hooded mystery villain that they call the Unknown turns up again. And again, horrific results. Again, I don't want to spoil this kind of bit if you're going to read this. But it severely kind of like takes Batman just over the edge. I mean, we've seen him physically broken in The Broken Bat in Nightfall, but this, all that happens just mentally destroys the Batman and Bruce Wayne. So many tales we've read with Batman where yes, the villain of the piece tries to break him mentally, but you always find that they have to use like some sort of hallucinogenic to help it along the way, and Batman has always found a way and the strength within him to overcome the drugs and fight through it, whether it's like the Scarecrow's fear toxin, or as we've just seen in the Court of Owls, when he drank from the fountain and he was in the labyrinth. He's always pushed through, but the events that have just happened just take him over the edge, and he lands himself in this catatonic state it goes for 2 years. So we have no Batman. Dick Grayson takes up the mantle, and it's just Bruce there in Wayne Manor, alone, not alone, but you know, he's just there in his mind. He can't talk, catatonic, and this was one of the parts that it was really, really emotional. Dick just doesn't know how to handle this. He's always seen Bruce / Batman as his, you know, his mentor, the guy that he looks up to for his strength, and to see him so debilitated, Dick can't cope with this and has to leave. And then Clark Kent, Superman, comes in, and I can just see that this whole kind of scene just as one issue, and Superman's kind of conversation, well, one-way conversation with Bruce, that, you know, Batman is the best of the best. Everyone looks up to him. He's the one that, you know, won't be beaten, doesn't back down, always finds a way out. And that's where Bruce, you know, he gets back, he comes back, and it is just an emotional kind of insert into the storyline, and the fact that James uses other DC characters to come into the Batman universe is really, really nice. And then this is where I'm going to kind of stop with the story, because I don't want to kind of ruin the big reveal that goes on. But Bruce gets back to full health and becomes the Batman again. And that's where James puts in all the kind of Batman we know as the detective. He wants to find out who's behind this. And along with the detective work, James throws in a ton of action and adventure to finish this story off. And more characters from Batman's past is used. Again, I don't want to mention any names because it will spoil the ending. But it was probably someone who's more au fait with Batman mythology and all the kind of villainous character of his past could possibly have seen this coming. I personally didn't, and I was just like... But then he throws more and more on top of it as well, which is both exciting, it's enthralling. Again, another tiny little, maybe we could change this, but it would kind of be a big chunk. But we have the issue of cloning. It makes a kind of sense, but whenever we say cloning, we get in iffy ground, and it's kind of not an easy option, but it's almost a kind of get out clause for the story and why this mystery assailant knew so much about Batman and about all his like Bat family. But I had a great time. It's a lengthy read, and at the time as I was reading it, and I'd seen him put, like, he wanted this, or would have liked to see this as a 3-issue mini. I was like, there is no way this could possibly be all condensed in a 3-issue mini. There is a lot of dialogue, and that's one of the things I had to kind of wrap my head around as I was reading it through, because I was reading it as a book rather than thinking what it would look like on like say a comic book page, and the condensing of dialogue in this may be something worth looking into if he wanted it. You know, if dreams came true and you actually had this on the shelves, a 3-issue mini would never do this justice, and there'd be pages and pages of words rather than some luscious artwork. But as I said, I had a great time reading this. It is by no means in any way amateurish. James has put a lot of thought, put a lot of dedication and time into this. I'm thoroughly impressed. Not just because he's one of our comic book community guys that, you know, I do really enjoy his work on here. Not being sycophantic in any way. But it was an amazing read. Now, artwork style, I don't know whether he's thought of this. I don't know whether he wants to go down the kind of Batman Year One with David Mazzucchelli and do that kind of artwork from in there. I personally wouldn't want to see it that way. I think for something of this magnitude, and my idea of it being like maybe a 12-issue Maxi series, there's only one person that could possibly do this justice, and that would be, of course, Jim Lee. As I was reading it, yes, I could see comic book covers, I could see splash pages, while James, there's no kind of, this is panel 1, this is panel 2, it's basically just your dialogue with some brief descriptions in between it all. But there are scenes like he goes against the League of Assassins, and James describes kind of like this shot of, you know, Batman appearing out of the smoke, all the League of Assassins are just on the floor all around him after being you know, beaten up by Batman, and I could just see in my mind this picture, this fantastic splash page with Jim Lee's fantastic art just looming out at me. Amazing job. It would be great to see this as a comic book, seriously. Please take the time to hit on the link down below and read his just marvellous effort. Well done to James. I don't know if he's got any more in the works, but I would certainly want to read them. Good job. And that's my entry. Take care.